All right. So kind of talking a little bit more about like my relationship at this point. Um, and so, yeah, we had big argument, and at this point, he shared some information with me as to why he is so emotionally withdrawn, and it has something to do with his childhood, and like abuse that he encountered in his childhood. And at this point, it's very clear that like we both have some sort of childhood trauma, and that is part of the reason why like we relate with each other so well. And he is the one that actually like posits that into the relationship. And so of course me having studied psychology, very empathetic, I'm like, that sounds like, something that you should be working on in therapy. And I would definitely encourage you to like process that. And this is not healthy for our dynamic. That history that you're holding on to, is if that's what's causing you to behave this way and be withdrawn emotionally and not supported. And he agreed, and he's like, yes, I know, I need to work on it, I need to go to therapy. And yeah, so fast forward maybe 2 or 3 years, the same argument is coming up over and over again throughout our relationship. And it's kind of so regular at a point that we kind of have an ongoing joke of like, it's tied to my cycle that like every time it's time of the month, I'm going to be upset at him, right? And it's kind of like an underlying like haha joke, but really no, there's like an issue under the surface here. And finally, I'm able to convince him, like, no, you really need to go to therapy, and at least do initial meeting. Now, unfortunately, the therapy that he went to, they were very unhelpful in the sense that they did not connect him with services immediately. And yeah. I don't know that it would have made a difference in my story, but like that was a very pivotal moment, because for him, them not connecting him to services immediately meant that he didn't have a problem, right? It wasn't something that was serious enough for them to take it serious, so it might not be a problem, right? And yeah. Curses. I'm not gonna call any place specifically out, but I probably should. But hopefully they fix their issues. But yeah, that completely fell through the cracks, and that became a negative experience for him with therapy, and so he didn't want to do it again. And in this time, we've also like adopted 2 dogs. So I think I mentioned that before in the last video that we like got 2 dogs. So we have puppies that we're raising and taking care of, right? And there's other things happening in our life where this kind of conversation kind of takes like a little bit of a back burner. Around this time, I have also decided to go back to school and get my graduate degree, because I was very unhappy in my job. And my ex was super supportive. He's like, hey, we live together, we're gonna be together, like I see a future with you at this point, like it's okay if you need to leave that to go to school full time, I'm going to support you and be here with you. And at this point, he had met my dad, and we kind of had like moved that over, like my dad knew that he existed and all of that stuff, so I was comfortable with that decision. Fast forward a couple more years. I'm getting my degree in 2018, and my dad is not doing so well. He's been in and out of the hospital and having a lot of issues, and it's very clear that he's not in a good place. And he was, thankfully, unlike my mom, he was very vocal and communicated, because he was like, no, I want you to know what's going on with me, and I don't want it to be like the same situation with your mom. And I think he knew how like triggering that was, or how upsetting that was, right? Especially with his history of like not being able to say goodbye to his mom. So So yeah, I know my dad's sick. I'm getting my degree. At this point, me and my ex are also engaged. My dad knows about this. He knows about my degree and everything. So like, we don't communicate often, but like, he knows what's going on in my life. So later in that same year, my dad actually passes away. And this is another pivot point for my relationship with my ex. So I'm gonna pause there and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video.